I like to do one more than the other, which is perfectly fine. Like, you don't have to like one or the other. I sometimes like I will go months without analog drawing. Drawing, in my sketchbook or just for the fun of it. So there are times where I don't get the chance to really create for myself. I'm creating mostly for my clients, which is a little sad, unfortunately, but it pays the bills. I would say that drawings like this, like creating in Illustrator, is actually sometimes a little bit more fun for me than creating digitally or in the sketchbook, and that's because I can make things more precise. And I'm a very, very, I have a very big OCD, and not, and okay, I'm using that generally. I have OCD when it comes to certain designs, certain illustrations, and things like that. Like my brother has said, where he talks about tearing out pages in his sketchbook, I haven't done that in a long time, but I definitely feel like doing that sometimes when things don't quite go the way I want them to. Alright, so we're coming up. I feel like that's good there. We could still play with it more, but let's move on to this part up here. Good questions, by the way. Let's see, Ron, pretty fun way to keep me occupied while working at home. Love the illustrations as well. Thank you so much, Rohan. Let's see, Mark says, the most stressful part about drawing for me is the lining. Just because I shake so much, but it looks better lined. Trust me, I agree. My hands actually shake. So doing line work isn't something I can really do. I'm actually so glad that the iPad Pro and using Adobe Fresco or even Adobe Illustrator Draw, they have a smoothing option, because I don't know if my lines would be that crisp if I had to rely on my own hand to do that. In fact, the first time I was ever on Adobe Live, I believe it was Rufus who actually showed me that there was a smoothing feature, and I was so thankful, because I was scared to death to be on there and to be trying to do this, and everything was looking so bad. Ugh. Elena Sanchez, wow, that's awesome. Very bilingual mind when it comes to creating work, either more artistic or design oriented. You are mad talented. Thank you so much, Elena. I try to be mad talented, but no, it is an interesting fact, right? See, I'm a very I guess bilingual minded person when it comes to a lot of things. So, for instance, I love order in chaos. So I'm very detail oriented when it comes to process, when it comes to a lot of things with like the stuff that I do. But I'm also a very messy person too. My wife loves to talk about that. And so, it's an interesting, what's it, double entendre, or I don't even know the right terminology for that. Okay, so we got this one. I think we can do one more. We'll move this over here and then do one more over there. All right, put that over here. Let's do a couple more. We're almost done with the grass. And then once we're finished with the grass, then we are going to move on to the cliffside. This is actually probably my least favorite part of the illustration, is having to do the cliffside, but it looks so much better when you do it. Usually what I will do in most cases with these illustrations is when I have to do the cliffside, I actually usually just copy from another illustration, but we are doing this all spur of the moment, so I will keep doing it for you guys. Unfortunately. Sorry, not unfortunately, I just don't look forward to it. All right, so again, let's take a step back and let's look at the illustration. So if we think about how far this illustration has come from when we first started the stream to where we are now, we've done a lot. This is actually looking really good. Actually, let's hit save just in case. What we have here is so much better than what we started with. And it all comes down to the details, right? The things that we add, the things that we put into the illustration really make a huge difference. Let's actually line that up correctly. All right, so now we're going to start with the cliff. Ugh. Talk about dread. Those types of things. I mean, the grass and the cliff are usually the parts that drive me crazy, but oh well. Okay, so we're going to do a line here. We're going to grab the same stroke that we're using here. We want to have, you know, if you think back, pretty much everywhere that we have a stroke, they are all the same weight. So we want to carry that over to this part too. All right, we're going to choose, actually we're going to, so it's 4 pixels or 4 points. We're going to choose the same color here, do 4 points, make sure that the tip of it is rounded. Let's see, actually we're going to make that a little darker. There we go. All right, and so what we're doing here is we're just going through, and again, just like how we've been doing it with the grass, with the cloud, with the bushes, with the trees and everything like that, we're just going to go through and we're going to eyeball it. And we're going to mess around with it a little bit as we go. The thing is that we don't want it, we're going to lock that. We're going to lock most of this stuff. We don't want it to be exact. We don't want it to feel too pattern-esque. And so we're going to really manipulate these quite a bit. Or try and add a lot of them, I should say. And so if you look over at here, we can kind of see what we're doing here. All right. Okay. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to drag these down. Drag this up. And we're just going to copy that one and try and align it with these others. And the way that I came about doing this is I started doing this, these like cliffs, with a map illustration that I was creating for a client. Unfortunately, we only did one. We're planning on doing a second version of the map, but we never got a chance to, unfortunately. All right, and then we're going to just scatter a couple of these just randomly throughout. Oh no, my camera shut off. Let me actually see. Let me see. I don't know if it'll come back on, but we can try. Sometimes it will shut off during the live stream. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get my camera back. Oh, no, it's back. It's back. Oh, awesome. Okay. Sometimes it will shut off because it thinks it's not being used. But it should still work properly, hopefully, like it is now. So that's good. Thank you so much, Mark, for letting me know that. All right, so we've got this. This is looking pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to select this, and the way that we're going to be able to select all of these is just by going to Stroke Color. And since this is the only ones that we've used this color for, we can just hit Group, and then we're going to select this background, copy it. And we're going to paste it in front. And we're going to make a clipping mask by using Command 7. And there we go. Now, one thing we can do is we can actually go and change the opacity of this. Just a bit. And we might change that as we go through. We're actually going to change it, put it in my favorite opacity set percentage, which is 35. There we go. All right, so we got our first cliff done. Now we need 1, 2 more to go. Oh God, this is so tiring. I have to like sit up because my back is hurting. There we go. Okay, so one thing we can do is we can actually take what we created over here. We're going to paste it over here. We're going to undo the clipping mask, get rid of the clipping mask, and then we're going to copy this, and we're going to try and reuse it. So we're going to increase the sizes a little bit. We're going to pull this out, pull it up, pull it out. We're actually going to squish this a little bit more because what we're going to do is we have this part that we can reuse, and now we just have to manipulate it. So we're going to lock these for now. Same with the water, all this area, because we don't want to accidentally move something that we don't want to. Okay. So we're going to take this, we're going to drag this up here, bring this over here. And so now we're just rearranging how we had it. And when we do this, when we flip it around, when we move these elements around, now it's not an exact copy of what we had there. So I think what we're going to do is we're probably going to do the color on this on Thursday, because we don't have a ton of time. I mean, we might be able to start color, but I think we'll probably end up doing the color on Thursday. I think that would be best. Again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We still have a while to go. We're probably going to be live for another half an hour or so. But just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Move this over here. We'll put like a couple more of these dots over here. Bring these guys over. Okay, I think that's looking good. Probably just need to get something over here though. So I think what we'll do is we'll put another one of these. All right. And also what we want to do is we actually want to lock these spots, because when we select this again, we don't want to select those by accident. So we're going to select this, go to select, same, stroke color, and now just these are selected, group them together. Then we're going to lock everything, so we have that selected. Grab this background, copy it, paste it in front of these. Create a clipping mask with Command 7, copy it, delete, and then paste it in front of here. And then we're going to set it to 35 opacity. Boom, there we go. So that actually helps. So taking it from over here and bringing it here and just manipulating it definitely helped out with that. So let's actually do that again. We're going to copy that same group that we have here. We're going to lock the house. Lock up, don't let anyone in. We're going to decrease this a little bit. All right. We're going to ungroup it. Actually, before we do that, we're going to have this selected. I'm going to click and drag and select everything that's right here that we could possibly accidentally select. And we're going to lock it. So now we're just dealing with this. So ungroup. And luckily we have a lot more stuff in front of it with this house, so it's a little bit easier for us to go through and manipulate. We don't need as many pieces as we had. So we can probably, let's see, we'll move this over. Feng shui these around. Can probably get rid of these here. All right, we are looking good. There we go. Moving these around. We'll actually bring this up a bit. And bring this one down. Okay. There we go. That's looking good. I think this area is a little too tight. So we'll move this over here. And move these over. And we'll get rid of... we'll bring down this dot. Okay, perfect. So now, again, we're going to select these areas over here because we don't have that grouped. And we're going to lock them. Press do select, same stroke color. Group them together. And now we can unlock everything. Select this, copy it, paste this in front. Make a clipping mask, Command 7, and there we go. Copy it, delete, paste in front, and then set it to 35%. Whew, and there we go. This is looking good. Look at that. That illustration looks so, so good. All right, so now that we have this, I guess there's like one more thing we can do here before we start working in color. So maybe we will actually do color today. Or at least playing around with color, I should say. All right, so the one thing we can also do is we can work on the water. So we can decide if we want to include something with the water or we don't have to. If you notice here, we have this little pattern here. This pattern I was never a big fan of. So I think we're going to create something a little bit better than that. All right. So actually, you know what? Do I want to create that? Because sometimes that can be a pain. Yeah, we'll create it. Yeah. You guys are having fun. I'm having fun. We can go and create it. So let's try it a couple different ways. So let's grab a stroke. We're going to rotate this square here. Delete this. We're going to bring this over. And we're going to see if this is going to work. I don't know if this is really going to work. But we're going to do, I think it's Command-Shift-J. Let's see if that worked. No, it did not. So then it's Command-J. I think that did work. Yes, it did. Perfect. All right. Let's get rid of these bottom parts. I just did that because I don't like that giant bounding box. And so if you take this and you've had that crazy bounding box, if you go and hit Unite on Pathfinder, it will actually change the bounding box for you. Okay. So we're going to take this, we're going to stretch it out a little bit more. We're going to keep combining it later, but we're going to do this. Then we are going to select the middle part. And we're just going to hit the Convert Selected Anchor Point to Smooth, which is up top here. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to see which way we need to put this. Okay, so it didn't do it how I wanted it to. That sucks. It's close enough though. We can live with this. And there's 100 different ways that you can do this. This is just like a quick and dirty way that I do it. But there are other ways you can go about doing this exact same thing. So we're just fixing these anchor points here. And so you notice that we're getting this water wave effect. Delete the bad part there. We're going to compress this down a bit. And see, this already looks so much better than what the previous illustrations had. So we're going to try and hopefully unite them, or merge them, join them, whichever you'd like. All right, and it's looking good. All right, so we need to make this super long. We'll actually crunch it just a little bit more. Actually, no. Because this is going to span the entire length of our illustration. So we need to have it connected pretty far. And there's, like I said, there's so many different ways of doing this, so there are easier ways. This is just the way I'm doing it today. Okay. Actually, we'll decrease the size of it a bit. Look at that cool braided effect. Command J, joining it together. All right, let's see if this is good. So I'm going to copy it. Because our water doesn't go all the way over to the side. All right, so we have this. We're going to do the width to about 2,000 pixels. I think that actually does it. Actually, we'll go down to 1,500. There we go, perfect. So we're gonna put this in here, and it actually fits perfectly here. All right, we're gonna change this to white, and we're gonna set it to 35%, my favorite opacity percentage. Okay, so now we're gonna paste this directly onto the water. We're gonna look down, and the only thing that we might change is we might change the stroke weight, because that is a little bit heavy. So we're actually going to drop it down to 3. So this is the only spot that we're going to have that different. And now we need to figure out how many we want to do this, or how much space we want in between. And that actually feels pretty good. So I think we actually need to grab a little bit darker hue. So we're going to go one darker. We're going to group these together. Okay, we're going to go one more darker. There we go. That feels a bit better. Actually, take these rocks up and move them up just a hair. And that allows us to move these up just a hair. All right, so now we're going to zoom out a bit. We're going to look at how that looks. That water looks pretty good to me. All right. So now we're going to drag this and bring it down. So the one problem that we're having with this water is actually it comes down to the rocks that we put in earlier. So we just might have to change that up a little bit. Move that up a hair. Whoops. It's actually behind the river, or the water. There we go. So what we can do here is we can actually just increase the size of it and put the parts in between the waves. There we go. And that works. That works perfect. So we can actually get rid of this bottom one. We'll take these and move them down just a little bit. Perfect. So now the illustration is pretty much done. This illustration is completed. Everything is in its right place. Everything is working perfectly. I think it's pretty much done. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on it. But I think it's perfect. I think it turned out way better than I was expecting. And I hope you guys enjoy it too. Awesome. Okay, so we have less than 20 minutes. I guess what we can do is we can actually start the coloring process, or I can actually show you guys a quick little preview of how we're going to go about coloring this. I think that might be a good idea. So, excuse me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into here and I'm going to grab our color libraries, and we're going to just look for some color palettes. So I think this is a good one. So we're going to add it to our library, or excuse me, our swatches. And some of these I actually have multiples, and the reason why I have multiples here is because I can't fit all of the colors on one bar. And so I have multiple, so I know, okay, I need to add this color to it as well. Alright, so we have that one. We can delete this excess over here. Yes, delete swatch selection. Let's see. I think this will be a good, these will be good to include here. I want to say that these two are the only ones we need here. We're going to add that to the mix. Delete. This is actually my favorite, one of my favorite color palettes. In fact, you can see it over here that I used it. And I just realized those are exactly the two same. We'll go and delete one of those. Add that. There we go. All right, so we got three color palettes. I think that's good for now. So I'm gonna put this back over here. And so if you guys have tuned into one of my live streams before, you guys have seen me do this, so it might not be a shocker. But if this is the first time tuning in, this is actually going to be an interesting thing for you guys to see. Thank you so much, Rohan. Looks good. Can't wait to see the color. Same here. All right, so let's see. We got one question. So you work in monotone and color in later. So yes. So I mentioned this earlier, but what I do is I create all my illustrations in grayscale first, and then I go through and add the color, whether this is for side projects or for clients. And that's because if you focus on creating the illustrations with color, you're going to get too bogged down with it. Do you customize your palette, or are you using any online library? I'm actually, this entire library here is swatches that I've actually put together myself. This is one of my main palettes, but these are all color profiles or color themes that I have created myself over the years, and this is where I bring a lot of my inspiration for color. All right. My brother says, everything you make looks good. Thank you. I wish that was always the case, but... All right, so let's actually save this first before I do anything. Hey, Jeffrey Beats on Instagram. Thank you for tuning in. All right, let's make sure that everything is selected. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go and click on this little piece right up top here called Recolor Artwork. And that was going to bring up this dialog box here. Now, I'm going to move this over, or excuse me, actually let me redo that. So I'm going to move this over just slightly. I'm going to select this because I want to make sure you guys can see the color changes. So we're going to click on Recolor Artwork. And so you'll notice here that we have our 3 color profiles or color themes. And what we can do is we can actually click on one, and it automatically will apply colors to it. And then we can click through and see what color combinations we can potentially get here. Now, this one, I'm not really liking this too much. In fact, we might have to change some things with this illustration for it to work, which is okay. That's what this whole part of the process is for. Let's jump into this one here. Now that's feeling a little bit better. We're just going to click through and see what potentially it shows us. Because the one thing to remember is you don't have to, once we apply these color palette or one of these profiles to this, we can manipulate, we can change it, we can add colors, we can remove colors. It's perfectly fine. We don't have to commit exactly to that. The only thing I wish that there was is a way to go back, because the one that I was just on I actually kind of liked. One way you can do that is just by clicking on another color and then going back and going through the motions again. So we're going to go through that one more time. And I'm going to see if I can't find the one that I liked. Because it was pink water, I think. It wasn't this one. Nope. No problem. Every day... I can't pronounce your full username here. I never knew what the button did. I used to manually drag colors. Lifesaver. No problem. I'm glad that I could help. Alright, let's see. Ah, I just missed it. That was it. Oh, man, that sucks. Okay, we'll just keep pressing. Okay, this one's not too bad. Not the biggest fan of it. I actually like it when the water is a different color. Like, this isn't too bad here. Okay, so let's jump into this one and see how this looks. So one thing I'm noticing as I'm going through here is I didn't create enough contrast with the grass or the bushes here. So you'll notice that all of them are kind of not changing the color as dynamic as I would like. But we can change that if we decide on a specific color. So we're just going to go through here and just see what there is. No, this isn't too bad. I actually kind of like this. I like how these colors are going. We're gonna keep on this one. So we're gonna set that. We're actually gonna grab these elements. In fact, one thing I should have done earlier that I didn't do is I should have grouped certain parts of this together. That was my mistake. So we're gonna group this, and we're gonna group this. Alright, now we're going to grab that darkest color here. Alright, so we run into a problem, no worries. We can actually create a new color, so we're going to just create another darker color. Make sure that it has enough contrast, but it also stays within this color palette. And there we go. We might change that a little bit later, but we'll keep that for now. I'm going to change the sun to an orange. All right, now let's look at these houses. Or actually, we'll start with the landscape first. Okay, so first things first, we want to change these, right? So we're actually going to do this. We're going to go up to the top here, and we're going to start editing similar shapes. But we run into one problem when we do that, is we also get these other ones here, but that's okay, we can change that. So we're going to actually apply this green color here. Not bad. Let's actually try the same color as the water. That feels a bit better. Let's do these as well. There we go. Not bad. I mean, we're still running into some problems here. And everything. And what this is going to come down to is we're actually going to have to go in. We're going to undo all of this. And we're going to go back to the grayscale. So now we saw how things were messing up, right? So now what we can do is we can actually go in and make some changes and see how we can make things a little bit different. The biggest problem that we run into with this is the fact that we have so many different values here. So if we go back in, we select all of this. We go back to our color swatches. Let me bring this over so you guys can see. And we click the new color group at the bottom. We can see just the same as up here, so I'll just go ahead and delete this one. We can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different color values. That's the problem that we're running into, because with these other profiles here, we have 6. And so when we have too many color values, too many grays here, that means that not all of these are able to work properly with the colors. So let's actually try and pare that down a little bit. That's what we'll do for the last little bit of the stream. So we'll try and pare that down. So first things first, I imagine that some of the areas that we're running into problems with are probably actually like this roof here, right? I think, let's see, are we using the same color here? I think we are. Okay. Okay. Actually, no, we keep that, I guess. All right, so let's do this. Let's grab, oops, we didn't group this one together. Group in that. All right, so we'll take this. All right, and what we'll do is we'll actually change this to a different color. Let's see, or we'll select these darker parts of the houses. Actually, we'll do this way. Select same fill color. And we're going to make it the same as the front of the houses. Now, we lose a little bit with that. We lose a little bit of dimension on the roof, but that's okay. That's perfectly fine. And with these, we're actually going to try and change these colors to... no, we can keep it this color. That's fine. All right, so that instantly, that removes a color. Right? So that removes this dark color here. Or actually, we need to first change it on this as well, because this is another area that we're finding that color. So select same stroke color, and we're just going to change that to this one. Okay? And so now we don't need this color here anymore. So if we select all of this stuff here, and we create another swatch group, now we have 8 colors. Okay? So what other colors can we eliminate? So what color are we using here? Let's see. Actually, I don't think we need to eliminate anything else. I think what we need to do is we need to diversify the color of certain other elements. So for instance, like these little things here. And what we're going to have to do is very, very tedious, is we're going to have to go through and select each single element. Oh, God, I hate this part. Yes, this is the most tedious part of this when you don't do this at the beginning. So probably what I should have done, and what I've done in the past, is as I'm creating these, I will group them together so that I can go through and edit them separately from everything else. Because if I just selected everything, it would select so many other objects. And this is also where having layers comes into handy. But I guess I'm a glutton for punishment when it comes to this stuff. So, but the good thing is that didn't take too long at all, because in the time it took for me to rant about how I should have done in the first place, we pretty much selected all of them. So we're going to group those. I'm going to delete just to see if make sure I got them all. I did. Okay, so those are grouped together. Now let's get these other ones. Yes, the windows. So on Instagram, the windows, yes, we can definitely potentially change those. Actually, I don't think we need to. I think those probably are the same colors. Maybe we need to actually figure out where we're having some issues. So actually, let's go through here. We're going to change this to the same color as that. And this one, we're going to change this to the same color as the water. Or actually, let's reverse that. We're going to do this the water. And this we're going to do this. Okay. All right, let's group these ones. With the windows, we actually don't want them to be the same color as the doors. But we do want to actually go through and make sure that we're not using some random color for that. That's actually, that spurred a good idea for me. Let me just finish getting all of these together. Okay, copy, delete. Yep, got it. Group. We're going to select the same color that we set for this one. And then we're going to do this. Actually, these can probably stay their original color here. It's mainly these ones I wanted to change up. So one way that we can go through and we can see what colors may not be necessary, or which ones we're using in such a small quantity that we probably don't need them, is to go through one by one and just look at the colors and select all the elements that are using those colors. Group those together. All right. So if we go in, let's go first to this color here, select same fill color. All right, we see here that we're using that color for these houses here. It's like the off-white color. And it seems like we're using it all in the right places. All right, let's see where we're using this one. Select same, fill color. That one, we're just using it in certain spots. We're going to change this to this and this to that. I think that's the only one. And then we're also that same color we were using for the sky here. So maybe we change the sky. No, the sky needs to be different. All right, let's try this one and see where we're using this. Same fill color. Okay, so we're just using that for the sun, the grass petals here. Oh, no, and we're also using it for the water as well. Okay. So that's where we're using that. Let's try this next one. See, that one we're using in a lot of places, so that's okay. Okay, we're using that in a lot of places as well. We're using it for some of the windows. We're using it for the actual land masses, so that's good. Let's try this one. That one as well. Land masses and the bushes and some of the trees. Okay, so I think then let's make sure fill color. Yep, okay. And this one we shouldn't have any. Yeah, correct. All right, so let's get rid of that swatch. Okay, so we have 8 swatches. Here's the one thing is that we actually have white, I believe, is one of the swatches, right? Yep. So what we need to do is we actually need to put white in each one of these other swatch groups because we want to make sure that we don't replace white. So that's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing now is I'm putting it into each one of these groups. All right. And so now when we go through here, we select this and we jump in here. Now when we do this, it should come up a little bit better. And that's our, whoops, undo. And that's actually already feeling better because what we're seeing is we're now seeing the grass is now changing colors independently of the bushes, which is what we want. We want that to be different. We want that to be independent. Ooh, and we can actually see there's a little mistake there that we'll need to fix. All right, not bad, not bad. No, so I always create everything in grayscale and then we add color later. Someone asked that on Instagram. Okay, so this isn't too bad. There's still going to be still some color tweaking as we go. And I might even do a little tweak to this part here in the foreground. That's actually not bad. All right, let's test out the other colors there. There's that same thing that we were using with the... I like the gold as the water. I actually like when there's a very bright and dominant color for the waterways. It actually looks pretty cool. So actually, let's just play around with this for now. We only have a little bit left of the stream. All right, so we're going to zoom in. And so ND Valence on Instagram. So how I'm doing that is I'm using the recolor feature in Adobe Illustrator. And the way that I choose the gray tones is I basically just go off of the palette from, and then I just start creating, and then I try and narrow down them as I go. All right, so we'll change the doors all to orange. I think that's a good color for that. I do like how this is a little off here. I don't know if the white is a good color, so let's actually play around with alternatives there. That might actually be better. We'll just have to change a couple of pieces. Again, we might have to darken this up a bit, which is fine. You can always add colors to it if you need to. That's a little better. Change these to this new dark color. Bring that up a little bit. Not bad at all. We'll definitely need to change all of the roofs to the darker color, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, so this is basically the whole creation process for these illustrations. Let's see, on your YouTube, is there any video tutorial where you can explain how to use this technique? Yes, there actually is a video on YouTube that I created, and I believe it's called How to Recolor Your Artwork. So if you go to my YouTube channel, you can search for me, Rocky Rourke, and I should pop up. And there is a video on how you can go through and recolor your artwork. Okay, so what we're going to do is, Thursday, we're going to go through and we're going to try a few different color options. We're going to save this as a base. We're actually going to save this as a separate version from the grayscale. So we're going to save it as _2. Save. And so what we're going to do is when we come back on Thursday for the live stream, which, by the way, the live stream is going to be on Behance on, let me get the schedule up here. My live streaming schedule on Behance is going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time. And then, burp there. And on YouTube, I'm going live on Mondays and Fridays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is all of these streams are recorded on YouTube and Behance. And so you guys can definitely check those out whenever you want to. They're going to be up there. Don't worry. In case you missed something or you were tuning in on Instagram, that's perfectly fine. Everything is going to be available on there. But on Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, I'm going to go live again, and we're going to go through and manipulate this further. We're going to prep this initial color palette, and that will actually allow us to recolor the artwork a lot easier and a lot better. Sorry, I just noticed that my camera went out again on the live stream. I do apologize for that. But we will be going live on Thursday again to finish this up. We'll probably end up doing multiple color options for this. And I'll also talk about a little bit about my technique of creating color palettes, which I know a lot of people always love to see that. So I think with that, we're going to actually call this live stream complete. I'll answer maybe 1 or 2 questions if anybody has them, either on Instagram or Behance. I just know I need to take a drink of water because my throat is now super dry from talking all this time. But I want to thank everybody for just tuning in. We went live twice now, and I'm just really excited about it. Again, the time on Thursday will be 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time. And it'll be live on Behance. You can search me, Rocky Rourke, on there. And I would definitely suggest that you check me out on Behance because you'll be able to see the illustration in its entirety. So the time on Instagram is actually running out. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in. Always remember to stay passionate, stay positive, and stay creative. And please, please, please stay safe out there. Don't take any chances. Don't go out to mass groups. Don't get your hair done. Don't do any of that stuff. Be safe, everybody. This is not the time to where we should be taking chances just to get a haircut, even if we need a haircut. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will catch you on Thursday here on Behance. Have a great day, everybody. That's it for me. Bye.